Good morning. This is Robert Cornicelli, National President for Veterans for America First, Veterans for Trump. With me today is a great hero, a guy running up against one of the worst senators on the planet, Bernie Sanders. This guy was a major, graduated from West Point, worked in the federal government. He was overseas many times as a family of 4 children. Just an amazing individual. And to graduate from West Point, that's something that I truly look up to. So welcome.
Thank you, Robert. Great. Thanks for having me here. I'm about the same. I got married a little late in life, so I have four children. My youngest is 15, oldest is 24, just graduated. So I have two in college actually now, and that's one of the reasons I ran back in 22, and I'm running again against Bernie Sanders. And things are bad in Vermont. And Bernie, like as you mentioned, he's been in Congress 34 years. Really hasn't done much at all. And now it's all false promises. He is a socialist, and it's time for him to go. He'll be 83 here in a couple of weeks, which would mean he'll be 89 at the end of the term. And like you mentioned, one of the things I talk about is and you've done it too, I'm sure, but, delivered foreign, through foreign policy, delivered peace. So I've done that in Europe, Asia, Middle East, Persian Gulf. It's one of the things I want to do as a senator, and also having worked in industry, bring jobs to Vermont, and really, bottom line, get us back to abiding by the Constitution. And I'm excited about it. I was at the RNC all last week. I gave the roll call vote for Vermont. I talked about President Trump being the guy that's going to reunite our country. So I'm excited about all that. I got a challenge, Bernie, for whatever reason. I don't know. He is popular, but I'm going to beat him. I hope to have help from folks, and again, get our country back on track. I think the President Trump's going to win. We could take the Senate. We could take the House. We could retain the House. I met David McCormick. I met Sam Brown out there in Milwaukee. So, and we have other veterans, Tim Sheedy, she running also, and a few more. And I think you're right. I think veterans have a different perspective, a different work ethic. We actually, we took the same oath, exact same oath that a senator takes, no duration on that oath. So I'm looking at serving Vermonters and Americans, and beating Bernie, because he does need to be retired. And I thank you for your opportunity here in the sport.
So once again, this is Major Gerald Malloy. He's running for U.S. Senate in Vermont against the worst senator on the planet, Bernie Sanders. And what gets me, and I really want to talk about veterans and you graduating West Point, but what gets me is how he gets the votes in Vermont. It amazes me, like what people are voting for him.
It is. I moved, I was born in Boston, and like you said, went to West Point. I was a hockey and baseball player there, but moved back up to New England in Vermont a little over 4 years ago. And it is amazing that, of course, he hasn't had a 6-year Senate vote since 2018, but I looked at 18 and going back in 2012 and his whole career. When he first won, he won by 10 votes to become mayor of Burlington, but and then he became a congressman, and then he became a senator. But Vermont, over time, because I'm from New England, I've seen it kind of go over like this. We're redlined over here on the left at this point, and it's not working. And folks are really finally realizing it. I've personally seen the Republican Party grow substantially in interest, even over the last year and a half. So he could be beaten. And like I said, he'll be 83 pretty soon. And, for instance, he's been waffling about Ukraine and even his homeland. He is Jewish, and he seems to support Hamas and terrorists more than Israel, which is, of course, Hamas, has American hostages right now, so it's hard to even watch any of that kind of aspect of. And really, when you get down to it, he does all this, and if you boil it down and think of look at what he says, it's false promises, and Vermonters have been believing that for many, many, many years about free this, free that, free the next thing. It never happens. It's socialism. It's false promises. So I'm getting a lot of traction. I'm already the nominee. The Vermont GOP and the RNC already made me the nominee when I won the Republican primary in 22. Since then, I've been building my name recognition across the state. And Vermont's ready for change, finally. And because, like I mentioned earlier, we have a Republican governor. He's one of the most popular governors in the entire country. He got about 71% of the vote. In the last 13 months, the supermajority left legislature has overridden 12 of his vetoes. Most of those are bad far left ideas that only add costs to taxpayers, add burdens. Like I said, that property tax. Some people, their property tax went up 30%. So people are furious for a variety of reasons. And of course, we still have lingering inflation from the current administration, from the 40-year high. And we have a border crisis in the country. So we're a border state. The northern border is bad, just like the southern border is horrible. Drugs are pouring in. Fentanyl is ruining cities and towns and families across Vermont. Rutland, St. Johnsbury, Burlington's almost gone. Burlington's not a good place to go anymore,
Really?
which is terrible. It's the Queen City. Most Vermonters, when you mention Burlington, say, "Oh, I don't go there anymore." That's horrible. So I'm going to change all that. Vermonters know that. Bernie's not going to change any of it. So I'm excited and to become like I said, a Republican. I am a Republican, believe in the Constitution, and get in there and actually do some work, which Bernie's not familiar with work. He's never really had a real job. So,
I went up to, I was telling you earlier, I was an aide de camp to Major General Wickstrom. He was the division commander for the 69th Infantry. And we went
okay,
up to Vermont for, I believe he was viewing some troops. And I got to tell you,
sure.
it's beautiful.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Farmland, the trees, the people were just so, it seemed they were so conservative. It boggles my mind that that man is in. But, I think what attracted me to your campaign, which is why I reached out to you, was you're a West Point graduate.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't get handed, well, back when you went, you just don't get
Right.
handed a degree from West Point.
No, it's
That
tough.
is hard work. I went to OCS at Camp Smith, so we did a lot of our training at West Point.
Okay.
Or your training, your
Right.
ranges and stuff. We had one Buring, right?
One more time.
What was that training site? Buring? No,
Camp Buckner. They have Camp
yeah,
Buckner. Right. Right.
we would do missions in some of your camps, where you did your training. But I remember one time, um, Sergeant Major Spizo ran the Holleran Center, the hockey rink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what he wanted me to do, West Point was playing their rival. So he's like, "This is what I want you to do," because I was doing really well in rappelling in OCS. He's like, "I want you to go up into the rafters at the Holleran Center, tie off,
Wow.
and stay there until the national anthem is over and they turn the lights on. And then I
Wow.
want you to throw your rope down and rappel down with the game puck and give it to the ref." I'm like, and listen, it was OCS. Your first sergeant asks you to do something, you do it.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
okay, I guess the ref is going to be the belay. He goes, "No belay. They don't even know you're up there."
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, what if I fall? He goes, "So?" And you know how high the raft,
Yeah.
the
That's up
catwalk is
there.
up there.
Yes.
So I
Wow.
did it. I did perfect, landed perfectly. I'm in my ACUs. I hit the
Nice.
game puck to the ref. The whole place erupts. And the ref's like, "No, you keep that." And what do you think I do? I forget I'm on ice because my adrenaline's so high.
Yeah.
And I just start walking.
Oh,
Zoom.
man.
But I caught
Oh,
myself.
oh,
I didn't fall.
oh, good. Good.
And then it erupted again. But um, I trained with a lot of those guys up there.
Oh,
And when
that's
I tell
nice.
you, West Pointers are the top of the class.
Oh, nice.
Vermont is lucky to have you running. And if you can get that message out, and that's why we're doing this video, we are going to share this everywhere,
Oh,
that
thank you.
we need more people like you in Congress. We need more people like you in the Senate,
Yeah.
because you're not going to bow down. Although one guy down in Texas, Republican, bowed down to the WEF, but you will never take orders from globalists and from the UN. And I know that already about you.
Yeah, hockey was a big part of my time at West. So I played in the old Smith rink, which I don't know if you saw, but it was like a very cold, very big. And the guy played 4 years for Jack Riley. And of course, I played against Brian, who's the coach now. Brian played at Brown while I was there, so we played now. And yeah, hockey was a big part of at West Point for me. That the hockey team, it was a band of brothers. That whole hockey team. But it was academics was the hard part. I was just telling somebody a couple of weeks ago, it was about 168 credit hours. That's about 28 a semester, and it was very challenging. It was very challenging. I was fortunate enough not to, that's it was one of my goals, not to go to summer school. So I never failed anything, which was good. Actually, kind of an accomplishment because a big chunk of people there do end up needing to go to summer school or being asked to leave because of school. But
You
it was
know,
challenging. I loved it. And
I want to tell you one more story. So when you graduate from OCS or West Point or Citadel or VMI, any of those, most OCS people don't take the first officer school down at Benning
oh
in
yeah,
September because it's all West Pointers.
oh yeah,
I didn't care.
yeah.
So I went down and I went through officer school down there, then infantry officer school,
Oh
and my
nice.
whole entire class was West Pointers. Maybe two guys from VMI and two from Citadel. I was the
Right.
only OCS guy. But I have
Nice.
to tell you, and the reason why I keep bringing this up is I train with these guys,
Yeah,
and they're a brotherhood.
yeah.
They will never let you fall, even when you were training to go into the Ranger School, which followed afterwards.
Nice.
I didn't go because I tore my knee up, but they
Yeah.
were preparing you to go.
Right.
And you know how it was, you could be recycled by through buddy ratings. I forget what it's
Right.
called.
Yeah.
They would not allow you to. Like they would make sure no one was a Blue Falcon, you know.
Oh, oh, right.
And
Okay.
I'm in awe of people from West Point. So
Thank you.
um,
I
I
tell
think
you
we need to get
one
that out more that you have the credentials and he does
thing.
not.
I could tell you one of the proudest, when I ran in 22, I was endorsed by President Trump, and I talked with President Trump for 10 minutes on the phone. That was very interesting. He's really smart. He knew
Yeah.
a lot of things. So he gave me an endorsement, and then one of the things I didn't beat Peter Walsh, although I think I should have in 22. But President Trump's endorsement at the bottom of it says he will never let you down. And for a president to say that about, me and talked about being a patriot, that was really, frankly, one of the highlights of my life, and that and my family. So a lot of work to do, but it's going great, and I am honored by this opportunity, Robert, and I thank you about the West Pointers. I was out there a few months ago. I met the superintendent at the RNC. They actually had a picture with President Trump with Darrell Williams, whom I'm a battle buddy with. But I think that was while he was the superintendent. Great friend of mine, great man, still on service, still serving in Europe right now as a 4-star. And I have one other gentleman, General Paul LaCamera, who's still serving. Interestingly enough, Paul was a year behind me in high school. So he's a
Hmm.
senior, he's the 4-star in Korea right now. So I have two folks that are still out there, doing great things for America, which I appreciate every day and pray for them and pray for peace every day. And current administration has just done so many things poorly or badly that I know I can do better, as a senator, and get our country back on track.
Well, I pray for you. I pray that you win. I know you'll be there to take care of veterans, which is what means the most to me, and I know to you. And Trump passed a law years ago, um, where people, if they were dying of cancer, their insurance companies had to pay for experimental drugs,
Right.
things that could possibly work that haven't, I guess, gone through the FDA process. And I've been thinking about this, and I'm hoping one day to go into Congress and speak to Congress about
Nice.
veterans who are injured or veterans who have multiple injuries and live in constant pain. Why doesn't TRICARE pay for things like PRP, plate replacement, or stem cell treatment, things like that, where they take your stem cells and either put them in intravenously or inject them into the site. If these things have shown somewhat
Right.
of a benefit, wouldn't you rather that than a veteran who's living in constant pain 24 hours a day, saying, I just can't take it anymore, and waiting for 3 hours on the phone to get someone at the VA? So
Right.
getting you in is just so important.
He talked about that. It was a long speech, and the very long Thursday speech at the RNC. He touched on that about expanding some of the I think it was right to try type legislation that he introduced. So yeah, and I think that's a great idea. I mean, you sign all the paperwork, but if there's some option out there that maybe hasn't made it through all the wickets, which are too many wickets at the FDA, but if you want to try it because you're in pain, try it, so yeah.
And one other thing, just because you represent us, or you will be, BAH. When you're in the service, obviously, you get BAH according to your zip code. They understand you can't live on Long Island for the
Yeah.
same kind of BAH you would get if you lived in Alabama.
Right.
So they subsidize that for you. But when you retire, I retired 21 years as a captain, but I did enlisted time.
Yeah.
My captain's retirement is the same for any captain who retired at 21 years.
Mhm.
So captain, let's just say, a captain can't move back to Long Island on an army retirement.
Yeah.
We need to find out ways, and I was talking to Bill Eigel, who's running for governor of Missouri, to figure out how to attract veterans to our states and
Mhm.
make it so, not veterans, retirees, I'm saying. Retirees can only go to certain states on a military retirement.
Yeah.
So there has to be ways. I know in South Carolina, you can go to Clemson or USC, Citadel free. You don't pay property tax, but that's for disabled veterans. We need to come up with ideas for retirees to make it more affordable for them, because they're injured too.
Oh, right. And I can tell you, Vermont is one of the states that still, taxes that retirement. Several don't. And so that's every year the Vermont legislature tries to pass that. It's not passed yet. And I'm like, and you may know this, but our, per capita, Vermont has paid the ultimate sacrifice more than any other state, believe it or not, over time, over the history of the United States. So there's a great, you mentioned, I mean, there is a great conservative service kind of feeling, of Vermonters at the core. We kind of have a far left running the state now, other than the governor, but it's still there. But yeah, there are some laws like that, for each state and nationwide that I think they do need to be looked at, because you're right. We want veterans to be able to go back to Long Island or even New York City, which is, veterans retirement pay. You can't afford to live in New York City. I mean, you can't. So.
Well, I don't want to hold you up. I know you have lots of campaigning to do. I have to tell you, this is a true honor. I talked to General Flynn and Rudy Giuliani and these types of guys, but when I talk to my buddy, Major General Wickstrom, a West Point grad, it's a different feeling. Although General Flynn's a different type of guy too, but it was an honor speaking with you. It's an honor to give you the endorsement from Veterans for America First, and we will do whatever we can to help you.
Thank you, Robin. I'm honored by the offer. I appreciate the support, and appreciate all your support for all veterans. And we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna have a good 24. 22 didn't go as well as as it should have. We've learned from that. That's what you do in the Army. You take, you have a lessons learned. You do a hot wash. You adapt. I've done that. I'm excited about putting Bernie Sanders into retirement and where he belongs. And I appreciate your support very much. God bless America.
Once again, this is Major Gerald Malloy, West Point grad, running for Senate in Vermont against Bernie Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you.